AITA for catfishing my underage sister on Tinder and humiliating her in order to teach her a lesson by you fun T, not funny, fun T _ Tinder _ prank. Last week I was using my sister Ashley's phone because mine was dead and I needed to call a friend to confirm plans. Dialing my friend's number, I saw a Tinder notification of some dude messaging her. Immediately, I asked why she's on Tinder. She's 17, and she grabbed her phone back and said, "None of your business." I wanted to give her the Benny of the D. Maybe she's just swiping for fun. So I didn't want to go straight to ratting her out to our parents. To test her, I made a fake Tinder profile and messaged her to see if she responded. I asked a good friend from back in college who happens to be a male model, Kevin, if he'd mind if I use his pictures. He thought it was hilarious. Oh, Kevin, always down for a silly Tinder thing. I quickly found my sister's account. Her age was set to 19. Lie, she's still in high school. So I was definitely more suspicious of her now. I super liked, and less than an hour later, she matched and messaged me. I set up a date to a fancy restaurant downtown for Sunday afternoon and told her we could, quote, head to my place afterwards, end quote. She was receptive and said she'd meet me there. She told her parents she was hanging out with one of her track friends and spending the night at her place. After she left, I told her parents everything and showed them the messages. They were pissed, and I suggested we all go to the restaurant. My dad and I just went instead and saw her sitting at a table alone, all dolled up, waiting for, quote, Jim. My dad went up to her and said, "Jim's not coming." And she screamed and asked what we were doing there. I told her that there was no Jim and that it was stupid of her to be trying to meet grown men on Tinder at her age. My dad harped onto that and lectured her on lying and meeting strange men on the internet and being so willing to go back to a stranger's place. We were a bit loud, so people were starting to look at us, and my sister eventually burst into tears and ran out. I told my friends in a group chat the situation, and they all agreed it was hysterical. Except two of my female friends who said I was a, quote, effing dick and, quote, cruel to her. My other friends defended me and said she needed to be taught a lesson, wondering who's right and if I went too far. AITA.
Quick question. Do you think 17 is too young to use Tinder?
Obviously, there's age of consent because we keep talking about the law. And it's like, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. It's like, so if you're 17 and 364 days old, you're not old. You know what I mean? Like,
you sign up through Facebook for most of these dating apps.
Sure.
You only have to be like 13 years old.
Sure, to use Facebook.
To be able to use Facebook. Obviously, you can't be 13 on a dating app, but I don't really know what the official age is.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, look, if I knew like a 19-year-old dating a 17-year-old, I'd be like, yeah, dude, whatever. Like,
yeah, that's,
you know, that's
probably fair in most states.
Now, look, I'm going to be honest. I've been looking at a lot of age of consent laws, and that's not a great thing.
The FBI has asked him a few questions.
Well, it's not a great thing to say at a party. People are like, what are you up to? Where are you going on vacation? Well, I'm going to Thailand. No, but I was curious about the Epstein case because I was like, why
those girls were 14.
Yeah, well, I was like, why don't these billionaires just go to countries where the age of consent is lower and then this can be legal? I mean, if you're a billionaire, what's the problem?
Yeah, just charter your private jet.
And there are some countries where the age of consent is lower, but there's like a whole legal kind of morass around it. Like in Japan, the age of consent is like crazy. I think it's like 13. And you're like, what is going on?
That's yikes.
It is yikes. But then it's like there's actually like local laws that make it much higher almost everywhere. On the general subject, I mean, it doesn't seem that egregious for me for a 17-year-old to be on the Tindy hooking up with people her age.
And I talked to a lot of our interns, and a lot of them are on Tinder, which, first of all, why? College is its own Tinder. It's just real life Tinder.
College is Tinder, IRL.
But like, I was 17 my freshman year in college. If people are doing that, I don't think that's fucking crazy. I think it's, she shouldn't lie about her age.
You were 17 in college?
Yeah, because I have like an October birthday. So when I first got there, I was 17.
Oh.
So I don't think that's weird. I also really want to know how old the brother is, that he's like so involved in this girl's dating life. Like, that's very strange to me.
I mean, let's just go into their side a little bit. Okay. If I'm a dad, if I'm a brother, I'm going to be a little protective about the 17-year-old. She's in high school. And look, she wasn't using the app to meet someone her own age. She wasn't. This guy was a male model.
Well, okay, yeah, come on. You don't like need to use Tinder to meet fellow 17-year-olds.
Yeah,
like,
but
go to school.
That's a little weird. A 17-year-old going out with a 23-year-old. And it's not that she's going out. She's also, going to his house, spending the night at his house. I mean, I get why this is
It doesn't say
alarming.
Spending the night.
Well, he kind of stresses that the intent was there, right?
The intent. Yeah. Which also is weird
Yeah, I mean, it's a little
to do
sleuthy.
to your sister. Like, that's just fucking weird.
I mean, she was lying on the app,
Yes.
but who doesn't lie? I don't know. I think it's
Who doesn't lie on dating apps?
If the brother had gone and seen her profile and then said, "Hey, I love you, sis. I'm a little disconcerted."
Yeah.
That feels like a good brotherly response.
Yeah. Because he was snooping to begin with, too. Like, he was on her phone, whatever. He got a note. He saw the notification. That's fine. Instead of just being like, kids are on Tinder now. He was like, let me just go through her profile to figure out what she's doing. Like, he had to take a lot of steps to figure out what she was doing on there.
Yeah, that could have just been a conversation.
Yeah.
So when I think of it that way, I'm like, well, no, this was clearly not the best route of action.
Not at all.
And everyone pretty much sees eye to eye on our old Facebook group. Autumn M says, "You're not an asshole for being concerned for your underage sister, but to humiliate her in public and to create a scene and rat her out to your parents in such an unloving way is pretty shitty. Her behavior is dangerous and likely stems from some actual issue for her that now may never get healthily addressed."
I think that's taking it a little bit far.
Yeah, what issue does she have?
Exactly. We don't
horny?
know. I know. Yeah, she's 17. Women are told, like, literally from puberty that, like, you have to date older men. Guys your age are way too immature to even keep them on your level. Like, we're told this all the time. It's not that insane for a 17-year-old to, like, try to date older people. Now, given her age, it's creepy when you consider, like, the older people who would date a 17-year-old, but, like, her desires are not necessarily weird unless she's, like, trying to bed these, like, 40-year-old dudes on Tinder.
I mean, even that, I've been thinking about that. I've been working on a joke about that, you know, because that is the stereotype that if a young girl sleeps with older men, they say she has daddy issues. But who are we to say, right? Maybe she just likes older guys. Aren't there a lot of good reasons to like older guys? They're more mature, they're more wise, they have more money. Those are good reasons.
Yeah, we're just always told that, like, men, that they just mature way slower than us. So you're, like, kind of pushed to go after older guys, but then when you do, people say you have daddy issues. So you can't win.
Yeah, and I definitely see eye to eye with you on, like, people are buying off more than they can chew. Kelsey R. NTA, she's still a baby. And imagine if she left to go meet some guy and never came home. Okay, but, like, is she a baby? A baby? A baby?
Yeah. No.
No,
she's a kid.
Yeah, I mean, I see why dad would be I see why they would be alarmed. But
I see why the parents would be, because, like, that's your baby. I could be, like, 23 and go on a date, and my dad would be like, never.
It never fades. Sarah C says her behavior isn't safe, but there are about 1,000 better ways you could have handled the situation. YTA, no doubt.
My entire thing was, like, none of his impulses were necessarily wrong, and I understand the feelings, but there were about a gajillion better ways to handle this than to set up a fake date and then do this whole, like, gotcha moment in public. This entire thing hinged on shaming, and my initial thought was, when you do that to a person, they're not going to stop doing what they're doing. They're just going to maybe be more secretive about it.
And that is backed up.
So basically, I did this research. There's obviously all different types of shaming. The first one that came to mind was, like, fat shaming. It's been proven doesn't work to help people, motivate people to lose weight. And actually, studies have found that it does the opposite. That's not totally analogous. I did find an article in Psychology Today that just talked about shaming in general. And it said that research has suggested that humiliation is especially damaging when inflicted by an attachment figure, such as a parent or primary caregiver. So I'm like, this perhaps had the opposite effect. Basically, they say making someone we admire and love proud of us is important to our evaluation of self-worth. Feeling supported and valued contributes to our sense of trust and security, whereas feeling rejected, and I would argue shamed, increases anxiety and social isolation. So I just felt like this was totally the wrong way to go about this.
Memories of having been shamed by a parent have been found to correlate more closely with internal shame and depression than did memories involving others.
Double whammy of badness.
Wow. So that's a really, really, the son is like a young idiot, but the dad,
a young idiot.
The dad is really the big asshole. Because it's like, what are you doing?
I can't imagine my dad being like, oh yeah, I'm totally going to go in this plan to prank my own daughter.
Prank your daughter.
Oh yeah.
Damage her irreparably for life. Yeah, there's just no way to go about it. I don't think there was any way around that. Kevin Hendricks had some pretty specific
Kevin.
pretty specific complaints.
Is it the male model, Kevin? We'll never know.
We'll never know. He said, YTA for the butchering of my dad harped onto that. What the F do you think a harp does? It's not a freaking lamprey, dude. It's a musical instrument. Harping on comes from harping on the same string or saying the same thing over and over. Celine says, dude, that type of behavior terrifies me. It's setting up dudes for statutory rape charges. That's so unfair. Yes, I definitely did this stuff too. Whoa, a lot there. I mean, that is true. And I hadn't really thought of that. And it can sound like a little bit men's rightsy to be like, but what about the men's?
Well, it does sound men's rightsy to be like, that type of behavior terrifies me. It's like, oh, really? It's like, that's what's terrifying to you? Okay, cool. Watch the fucking news. That's what terrifies you? Okay.
Yeah, well, and if you're a man and you're terrified, it's like, well, maybe don't make a habit of sleeping with girls who are fresh out of high school, Roger. That's odd.
I would get into this argument like literally on at least 3 separate occasions when like, do you know the whole thing with Tekashi 6ix9ine? He's a rapper. He was caught, he was 19. He was caught on video in this sex tape with a 13-year-old.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know. He fucking is garbage, but I got into multiple arguments with men, also incidentally all in Bushwick, about how like, oh, he didn't know. False. He knew.
13?
Like, have you seen the way 15-year-olds look on Instagram nowadays with their titties out, blah, blah, blah. And every single time I was like, no, I've worked with children. I have observed children. You can tell when someone is 15 years old. When you're a 19-year-old, you can tell. Like, I don't want to hear this shit.
A 13-year-old? My God.
You can tell when someone is 13.
Yeah, they're like bones aren't fully formed.
Yeah, they have fucking braces. Not all of them, but you can just tell.
Also, like, you listen to them talk and they say things a 13-year-old would say.
Yeah, so like, I don't know. I hate that argument. I'm like, you can kind of tell when someone looks like an actual child. And also, if you're doubting it, don't sleep with them. Maybe. Ask to see some ID. I don't know. Get a bouncer in there.
Jose G said, need more info. Did someone you, her, your dad tip the restaurant? Which
Dude, are you serious?
I just felt was another victim of this little punked.
Also, the people whose meal was ruined by this weird hijinks.
You shouldn't shame your kids. Maybe shame.
Just like talk to them. What's the big deal? There's a million different ways you could have handled this that would have been better.
And OP did a little snarky edit and they said, and to the people who said she'll never speak to me again, we just finished playing FIFA for the last hour or so.
Okay, well, I hope she kicked your ass.
AITA for catfishing my underage sister on Tinder and humiliating her in order to teach her a lesson.
Yes.